Can Officer Ava and her K-9 dog stop the hijackers and disarm the bomb in time? When a subway train is hijacked with 30 passengers on board, Officer Ava Reed and her highly trained K-9, Titan, are thrust into a deadly race against time. As the hijackers grow desperate, they threaten to detonate explosives unless their demands are met. With one bomb already disarmed, Ava and Titan must navigate through treacherous traps, confront dangerous foes, and face a final bomb planted on the tracks. Will they make it in time, or will disaster strike? Officer Ava Reed was not one to back down from a challenge. She had earned her reputation as one of the best officers on the rescue team, and Titan, her K-9 partner, was just as skilled. Titan was no ordinary dog. He was a German Shepherd trained for extreme situations, with an almost uncanny ability to sense danger. His sharp instincts and intelligence made them an unstoppable duo. On any given day, you could find them working together in dangerous situations. Whether it was tracking a suspect or helping victims of natural disasters, Ava and Titan were always ready. Today, however, something was different. The call they received was not routine. "Officer Reed, we've got a situation," came the voice over the radio. "A subway train has been hijacked. 30 people are being held hostage. The suspects are demanding a ransom, and they've threatened to detonate explosives." Ava gritted her teeth, her focus narrowing. "Where's the train?" she asked. "It's deep underground, headed toward the city center. We're still trying to locate the exact coordinates." Ava looked at Titan, who was already alert, his ears pricked up. "We've got work to do," she said, and Titan gave a soft bark in agreement. The clock was ticking. 30 hostages. Explosives. The pressure was on. Ava's mind raced through the possible scenarios. This wasn't just a random act of crime. It was planned. The hijackers had carefully chosen their target and had come prepared for a standoff. "Do we have any information on the hijackers?" Ava asked as she prepared to move out. "Yes," the dispatcher replied. "One of the hijackers is a former military expert. We believe he has trained the others." Ava's grip tightened on the steering wheel as she sped through the streets, heading for the subway station. The thought of a military-trained suspect made the situation all the more dangerous. This was no ordinary heist. Titan, in the back seat, was already focused on the task. His ears flicked back and forth as he monitored the surroundings, as if he could sense the urgency in the air. He had been trained for moments like this, to detect danger before it even reached them. When they arrived at the station, the urgency escalated. The hijacked train was getting closer to the city center, where crowds of people were everywhere. A sense of panic spread through Ava. If they didn't act quickly, there could be an explosion. Lives would be lost. "Listen up," Ava shouted to the rest of her team. "We need to find the train, and we need to do it fast. Titan, find a trail." Titan jumped out of the vehicle and immediately sniffed the ground. His nose twitched as he picked up the scent. He was fast, scanning the air and the surroundings for any clues. His heightened senses allowed him to detect things that no one else could. Ava followed closely behind, her eyes scanning for anything out of place. As Titan led them deeper into the station, the sounds of footsteps echoed down the hall. Ava felt the tension rise. They had to be getting close. Suddenly, the radio crackled again. "The train is nearing the next station. We don't have much time." "Understood," Ava replied, her voice steady but determined. They had to find a way to board the train before it reached the next stop. As they moved, shots rang out from a nearby platform. Gunfire. Ava's heart skipped a beat. She motioned for her team to take cover. Titan instinctively crouched, his muscles tensed as he prepared to act. "Stay close," Ava ordered. "We need to board that train now." They moved through the shadows, careful not to alert the hijackers. Titan's keen senses kept them on track, and Ava kept her eyes peeled for any sign of the suspects. At that moment, Titan gave a low growl, signaling something was off. Ava quickly scanned the area. Her heart raced. Something was coming. She ducked down just in time as a bullet whizzed past her. She could hear the shouts of the hijackers echoing through the tunnels. "Cover," Ava shouted, and her team returned fire. Titan was already on the move, darting ahead to flush out any potential threats. His speed and agility made him a formidable opponent for anyone foolish enough to underestimate him. The chaos around them intensified. Ava's team was engaged in a firefight, but she kept her focus on the task at hand, getting to the train. Time was running out, and every second counted. We're almost there. Ava shouted to her team. Titan leapt ahead, and Ava followed closely behind. As they reached the end of the platform, they saw the train, the hijacked subway train, approaching fast. Get ready, Ava barked. We're taking them down now. In the distance, she could see the lights of the train. It was too close. The suspects will be prepared. Ava steeled herself for what was to come. With Titan by her side, she knew they could make it through whatever danger lay ahead. But the real test was yet to come. As the train neared, the world around them seemed to slow, and Ava's pulse quickened. She could feel the weight of the moment on her shoulders. This wasn't just about rescuing hostages. This was about stopping a deadly plan before it could unfold. But the hijackers had planned for everything. As Ava prepared to board the train, she couldn't shake the feeling that something even more dangerous was waiting for them. The train slid into the station with a low hum, its doors slamming open to reveal chaos inside. Ava and Titan crouched low, moving like shadows through the station. The sounds of frantic shouts and the occasional gunshot echoed from the train. They had to move fast. Every second counted. Ready, Titan? Ava whispered, her eyes scanning for any sign of movement. Titan barked once, his muscles taut with anticipation. The K9 led the way as they approached the nearest car. They were close. Too close to make mistakes. Ava reached for a radio, but stopped herself. No time for distractions. Her focus was sharp. She motioned for Titan to stay close, and they slid through the doors of the train. Inside, the scene was far worse than she had imagined. Hostages were huddled in the aisles, their faces etched with fear. The hijackers were shouting orders, keeping a watchful eye on every passenger. Ava could see them clearly now, 5 armed men, each one scanning the crowd, looking for any sign of rebellion. She motioned to Titan, and the dog moved swiftly, sniffing the air, his nose twitching as he picked up the scent of explosives. The smell of sweat and fear mixed with the faint metallic scent of something much more dangerous. Ava knew that time was running out. They needed to find the bombs before it was too late. As they made their way through the car, a quiet voice cut through the tension. "Psst, over here." Ava froze. She motioned for Titan to stay and turned toward the voice. It came from a passenger seated in the back of the car. The woman, looking disheveled and terrified, locked eyes with Ava. "I know who's behind this," the woman whispered urgently. "I can help, but you need to trust me." Ava's mind raced. A potential ally, or a trap. The woman could be part of the hijackers' plan. Ava took a cautious step forward, keeping a watchful eye on the rest of the train. Titan stood still, sensing his handler's tension. "Who are you?" Ava asked quietly, keeping her voice steady. "Don't have time for introductions," the woman replied, her voice trembling. "But if you want to stop this, I can help. There's a mole among your team, someone working with the hijackers." Ava's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice sharp. "Someone you know, someone you trust." The woman's eyes flicked nervously toward the front of the car. "They've been feeding information to the hijackers from the inside." Ava's mind flashed to her team. Could it be? Could one of her own colleagues have betrayed her? She swallowed hard. There was no time to dwell on it. The woman's words could be a distraction, or they could be the truth. Either way, she had to focus on the mission. "Stay here," Ava said as she turned to Titan. "We need to find that mole." They moved down the car, keeping their eyes peeled for anything suspicious. The tension in the air was palpable, the sound of the hijackers' voices rising as they grew, increasingly agitated. Ava's instincts told her the situation was escalating fast. She needed to act quickly. Suddenly, Titan stopped in his tracks, his body tensing. Ava followed his lead, her eyes darting to a nearby passenger. It was a man, his hands shaking as he gripped the seat in front of him. But there was something about him that didn't seem right. His nervous energy was too intense. Ava watched as the man glanced toward the front of the train, a quick, almost imperceptible movement. "Get down," Ava shouted, pulling Titan to the ground just as the man reached into his coat. Gunfire erupted from the front of the train. The hijackers had noticed their presence. The man had been signaling them. Ava's heart raced. The mole was one of them, a former colleague, a fellow officer who had been working with her for years. And now, he was part of the hijackers' team. The blast of gunfire grew louder, echoing through the train. Ava's team was under attack. They had to act fast. Ava reached for her radio, but there was no time. The hijackers had locked the doors to the front and rear of the train. They were trapping everyone inside. Titan growled softly, sensing the growing threat. "Stay close," Ava ordered, her voice low but firm. "We need to break through those doors. Now." Titan led the way, his sharp teeth bared, ready to do whatever it took to protect Ava and hostages. They moved quickly through the aisles, avoiding the open spaces where they might be seen. But the hijackers were already on high alert. They knew someone was coming. The mole had already set things in motion. The hijackers weren't just holding the passengers hostage. They had also planted bombs throughout the train. It wasn't just about the ransom anymore. The plan was much more deadly. Ava's pulse quickened. If she didn't act quickly, the train, and everyone on it, would be gone in a flash. Titan stopped at a nearby seat, sniffing the air. He was onto something. The bomb was close. "Good boy," Ava muttered as she pulled out her tools. Titan was her lifeline now, his heightened senses able to detect the subtle changes in the air, the faint scent of explosives that could mean life or death. Together, they carefully disarmed the bomb, each move deliberate, each breath steady. Time was running out. The pressure of the situation pushed her to the limit, but she wasn't about to fail. She had no choice but to stay focused. If she made one wrong move, the entire mission, and everyone aboard the train, could be lost. Titan stayed by her side, his ears alert as she worked, sensing every change in the environment, ready to protect her in case something went wrong. Ava's hands moved with precision, adjusting wires, checking the timer, and carefully cutting the right cables. She glanced at Titan and gave him a nod, grateful for his partnership. Without him, she might have missed the faintest sign of danger. The timer was running down. Ava could feel it in her chest. Every second counted. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she pulled the last wire. The countdown stopped. The bomb was disarmed. Ava didn't allow herself to relax. Not yet. She had to act fast, get the rest of the hijackers under control, and make sure the rest of the passengers were safe. She stood up and motioned for Titan to follow her. The train was still in motion, but the immediate danger was neutralized. However, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was still wrong. She moved toward the front of the train, where the hijackers were holed up. The leader was there, with a group of his men. As Ava and Titan approached, the atmosphere inside the train became even more tense. The hijackers knew they were running out of time. Their plans were falling apart, and they were becoming more desperate by the second. Suddenly, the leader spotted Ava and Titan. With a wild look in his eyes, he grabbed one of the hostages and pressed a gun to their head. "Stay back," he shouted. "I'll kill them if you come any closer." Ava froze. The situation had escalated. The leader was no longer in control of the situation, and he knew it. He was using the hostage as leverage to buy time, to maintain some semblance of control. Ava's mind raced, calculating her options. She couldn't let him kill an innocent person, but she couldn't just rush in either. She needed a plan. Titan growled low, sensing the threat. Ava placed a hand on his head, her fingers brushing through his fur. "Wait," she whispered, watching the leader carefully. The leader was desperate. She could see in his eyes. He was on the edge, ready to make a dangerous move. "Put the gun down," Ava called, her voice firm but calm. "It's over. You're not going to get away with this." The leader's grip on the hostage tightened. "Don't come any closer, or I'll kill them. You hear me? I'll kill them." Ava's fingers tightened around the grip of her weapon. This was it. She had to make a move, and it had to be the right one. In a split second, the leader turned toward the other hijackers, barking orders. Ava didn't hesitate. She sprinted toward him, Titan right behind her, ready to act. As she closed the distance, she aimed carefully and fired. The shot hit the leader's weapon, sending it flying out his hand. Titan lunged at the closest hijacker, knocking him to the ground. The leader staggered back, trying to regain control, but Ava was already on him. She tackled him to the floor, pinning him with a force that left no room for escape. Titan stood guard, watching the rest of the hijackers. "Get the rest of them," Ava shouted to her team. "Secure the hostages." Within moments, the rest of the hijackers were neutralized, their weapons taken away. The hostages were freed, but Ava's mind was still on the task ahead. The hijackers had set traps all over the train, and there was still one final threat to deal with. A voice crackled through her earpiece. Officer Reed, we've detected another bomb. This time on the tracks ahead. The decoupling mechanism has been sabotaged. If the train doesn't stop soon, it will crash. Ava's eyes narrowed. It wasn't over yet. There was still time to stop the train, but only if she acted fast. Titan was already on the move, heading toward the back of the train with a determination that matched Ava's. She followed closely behind, her mind racing. They had disarmed the first bomb, but there was still the matter of the train's decoupling mechanism and the bomb on the tracks. If either one wasn't dealt with, they wouldn't make it out alive. They reached the rear of the train, and Ava immediately saw the damage. The decoupling mechanism was malfunctioning, clearly sabotaged by the hijackers. The train wasn't going to stop unless she fixed it. Ava got to work, working as quickly as she could to repair the mechanism. Titan stood by her side, alert and ready to defend her if anything went wrong. She knew every second counted. The bomb on the tracks was getting closer. She could hear the beeping of the countdown in her ear, growing louder and louder. With one final turn of the wrench, the decoupling mechanism was fixed. The brakes were engaged. The train began to slow. Got it, Ava called out. But they weren't finished yet. The bomb on the tracks was still a threat. Titan's sharp senses had already detected the location. Ava sprinted to the front of the train, reaching for the bomb disarming tools. She and Titan worked together, carefully deactivating the bomb just in time. The countdown stopped. The train came to a complete halt, safely out of range of the bomb. Ava exhaled, the tension draining from her shoulders. The mission was over. The hijackers were captured. The passengers were safe. And once again, she and Titan had completed the impossible. Mission complete, Ava said in her radio. The hijackers are neutralized. The train is secure. The passengers erupted in cheers. Ava and Titan walked off the train, their heads held high. They had saved countless lives, and once again, they had come out victorious. As they stood there, Ava looked down at Titan and smiled. We did it, partner. And with that, the mission was over. Another job well done.